first time I saw the house on Maple Creek Lane, I knew it was a story waiting to be finished. It wasn't a palace. It was a 1920s craftsman bungalow, crouched under the shade of two ancient oak trees, its paint peeling like sunburnt skin and a porch that sagged in the middle like a tired smile. But the front door had a stained glass window that cast rainbows on the dusty floorboards when the afternoon sun hit it just right, and the fireplace was built from river stones, each one unique. Daniel, my husband, saw the cracked foundation and the outdated wiring. I saw the nursery. I saw a vegetable garden in the sun-drenched backyard. I saw our future. "It's a money pit, Clara," he'd said, his engineer's mind already calculating the cost of a new roof. "It's a asterisk home asterisk pit," I'd countered, lacing my fingers through his. "Our home." We bought it. For the next 3 years, it became our third partner in marriage. Weekends were measured in gallons of paint and the satisfying groan of old nails being pulled. The smell of sawdust and fresh coffee became the scent of our happiness. Daniel, the software architect, became a master of drywall and plumbing. I, a digital marketing manager, became a queen of color palettes and garden plans. We poured every extra dollar and every ounce of our energy into those 4 walls. We even renovated the basement into a small, legal apartment, which we rented out to a lovely, quiet, retired schoolteacher named Mrs. Gable. Her rent payments went straight into our future fund savings account, the one earmarked for a bigger down payment one day, or, in my secret dreams, a maternity leave. The porch swing was Daniel's masterpiece. He installed it on our first anniversary in the house. We'd sit there every evening, the chains creaking a gentle rhythm, and talk about everything and nothing. That swing was the heart of our home, the place where our dreams felt most real. That life, that hard-won, beautiful life, felt as solid as the river stones in our fireplace. We had no way of knowing that the person who would reduce it all to rubble was the one who had taught Daniel how to build a birdhouse when he was 7. The crack in our foundation began, as so many do, with a loss. Daniel's father, Arthur, a kind-eyed man with a laugh that could fill a room, passed away suddenly from a heart attack 18 months ago. The light in our family dimmed. The person who was extinguished completely, however, was Daniel's mother, Eleanor. Eleanor had been a corporate wife her entire adult life. Arthur had handled everything, the finances, the car repairs, the decisions, big and small. Without him, she was a sailboat adrift in a windless sea. The calls started almost daily. "Daniel, the garbage disposal is making a funny noise. It sounds aggressive." "Clara, darling, the television is speaking in another language. I think it's Portuguese." "I'm just so lonely. The silence in this condo is deafening." We brought her over for dinner every Sunday. We included her in movie nights. I tried to teach her how to pay a bill online, but she'd just wave a perfectly manicured hand, her eyes welling up. "Oh, your father always, I just can't." She was drowning in a grief I genuinely tried to understand, but it was beginning to pull us under with her. She'd sit on our porch swing, sighing dramatically. "You two are so lucky, you have this." She'd gesture to the house, the garden, our life. "Your father's pension, well, let's just say it doesn't stretch as far as one would hope." The implication was always there. We helped, of course. We paid her property taxes, her condo fees. It was a strain, but she was family. Then she joined the Silver Linings book club at the community center, and everything changed. His name was Silas Thorne. He was everything Arthur wasn't, flamboyant, silver-tongued with a head of lush, silver hair and a tan that spoke of warmer climates. He'd been a global consultant, he said, a philanthropist, an inventor. He'd joined the book club, he claimed, to find substance after a life of superficial pursuits. He focused on Eleanor with the intensity of a laser. He called her his autumn rose. He listened to her, or performed a masterful imitation of listening, his eyes fixed on hers as she spoke of Arthur. He made her feel seen for the first time since the funeral. Initially, we were relieved. The daily calls slowed. Eleanor started wearing bright colors again. She laughed. For a few weeks, a fragile peace settled over our lives. Daniel and I even dared to hope the worst was over. Then we met him for dinner. Silas was charming, I'll give him that. He had stories about negotiating with tribal leaders in the Amazon and sailing the Aegean. But when Daniel, Ever the pragmatic engineer asked him about his current work, the charm curdled into vagueness. "It's a passion project, Daniel," Silas said, swirling his red wine. "A sustainable modular water purification system. Think of it, a unit no bigger than a suitcase, capable of providing clean drinking water for an entire village for a decade. No filters, no chemicals, just pure physics-based innovation." "Fascinating," Daniel said, leaning in. "What's the core technology?" "Reverse osmosis, a new UV method." Silas gave a condescending smile. "Ah, the patents are still pending, my boy. It's terribly complex. Trade secrets, you understand. Let's just say it involves vortex dynamics and structured water. It's going to change the world." I saw Daniel's brow furrow. "Vortex dynamics, that's not a standard term in fluid mechanics." Silas chuckled, patting Daniel's arm. "That's because it's revolutionary. We're finalizing the prototype now. The hard part is over. Now it's just about scaling, manufacturing." The red flag wasn't just red. It was a flashing neon sign. But Eleanor was gazing at him as if he just revealed the meaning of life. He was offering her a chance to be part of something grand, to escape her mundane grief. And we were the skeptical, small-minded in-laws raining on her parade. The first direct ask came a month later. Eleanor showed up at our door, her eyes shining with a fervor I'd never seen before. "It's happening," she breathed, clutching my hands. "Silas has secured a meeting with a precision manufacturer in Germany. They're the only ones in the world who can make the core component, but they need a 50% down payment up front. It's a golden opportunity, but the window is closing." Daniel and I exchanged a look. "That's great news, Mom," he said cautiously. "How much?" $250,000. The number hung in the air, suffocatingly large. "We don't have that kind of money, Mom," Daniel said gently. "But the house," she exclaimed, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "You have so much equity, we could take out a line of credit, use the house as collateral. It's just a formality, once the first orders ship. We'll pay it back triple." My blood ran cold. "Eleanor," I said, my voice firmer than I intended. "We are not using our home as collateral, it's too big a risk." Her face fell, the fervor replaced by a petulant coldness. "So, that's it. You won't help. This isn't just for me, you know. This is for the world, for all those children without clean water." She turned to Daniel, her eyes pleading. "Your father would have taken a chance. He believed in people." The manipulation was so blatant it was breathtaking. Daniel's jaw tightened. "Dad was also a prudent businessman, Mom. He wouldn't risk his home on an unproven technology with no clear patents. The answer is no." She left in a huff, the screen door slamming behind her. The silence she left behind was thick with tension. We had drawn a line in the sand. We had no idea she was already planning to cross it. The next act in her play was one of masterful manipulation. A week after the loan request, Daniel got a frantic call. Eleanor had taken a bad fall in her bathroom. We rushed to the hospital to find her with a lightly sprained wrist, but she was playing it like a Shakespearean tragedy. "What if it had been worse?" she whispered, her hand trembling in Daniel. "What if I'd hit my head? I'm all alone, the bills, the accounts, I don't even know the passwords. Your father handled it all." She looked so small and fragile in the hospital bed. My guard, for a moment, dropped. "I need to know someone I trust can take care of things," she continued, tears welling in her eyes. "Daniel, I need you to have power of attorney, just so you can pay my bills if I can't, so I don't have to be afraid." It seemed like the responsible, loving thing to do. A son helping his widowed mother. We consulted a lawyer friend who drew up a limited power of attorney document, granting Daniel the ability to manage her financial affairs in the event she became incapacitated. It was meant to be a safety net, a document for a worst-case scenario. The day she signed it, she was all graciousness. "Thank you, my darling boy. This takes such a weight off my mind." She hugged him tightly. We stored the document in our fireproof safe, a dull, legal formality. We never imagined it was the key she would use to pick the lock on our entire life. The world ended on a Tuesday. It was a perfectly ordinary morning. I was on a video call with a client and Daniel was coding in his home office. My personal phone buzzed. It was Mrs. Gable, our tenant. Her voice, usually so calm, was shaking. "Clara, I'm so sorry to bother you, but there are people here. In the house. They have a key. They're saying they just bought it." The floor fell away from beneath me. "Bought it? That's impossible. There's been a mistake." "They have paperwork," she whispered. "A deed." I don't remember ending the client call. I screamed for Daniel. We ran out of the house, not even grabbing our keys, and drove the 10 minutes to Maple Creek Lane in a silent, terrified frenzy. There they were, a young couple, no older than us, standing on our porch. He was holding a set of keys. She was holding a folded piece of paper. Our beautiful, dark blue front door was open. "Can we help you?" Daniel asked, his voice tight. "Yeah, we're just doing the final walkthrough," the young man said cheerfully. "We got the keys from the agent this morning." "Walkthrough of what?" I said, my voice shrill. "This is our house." The woman's smile faltered. She held out the paper. It was a copy of the deed, our address, their names. The sale had closed at 10 a.m. that morning. The funds had been wired. I felt Daniel sway beside me. The world narrowed to a pinpoint. The vibrant green of the lawn, the cheerful yellow of the daffodils I'd planted, the familiar creak of the porch swing in the breeze, it all became a grotesque, mocking painting. We were locked out of our own lives. We found Eleanor at her condo. She was packing a Louis Vuitton suitcase, a new one. She was humming. When she saw us, her face lit up with a bizarre, unhinged joy. "Oh, good. You're here. I wanted to say goodbye." "Mom," Daniel's voice was a broken thing. "What did you do?" "Silas did it. He found an angel investor, someone who saw the vision and bought the house. Cash offer, no contingencies. It was a miracle." She was giddy, like a child on Christmas morning. You sold our house," I said, the words feeling foreign and impossible on my tongue. "Our asterisk house," she snapped, the joy vanishing, replaced by a cold, entitled fury. "You mean the house asterisk my son asterisk owns? The house I have every right to ensure is put to good use. You wouldn't help us. You were selfish. A mother has to create her own opportunities. Silas and I are leaving for Costa Rica tonight. The manufacturing plant is there. It's all happening." The pieces began to click into a horrifying picture. The power of attorney. She hadn't waited to be incapacitated. She had used it to impersonate Daniel. She had gone to a lawyer, presented herself as having his power, and forged his signature on the sale documents. She had stolen her own son's identity to steal his home. The betrayal was so profound, so intimate it felt like a physical violation. Daniel made a sound, a low moan of pure agony, and collapsed into a chair, his head in his hands. I stood there, staring at this woman, this stranger. The love I had felt for her, the pity, the patience, it all crystallized into a diamond-hard core of rage. "You will undo this," I said, my voice dangerously quiet. She zipped her suitcase shut with a final, triumphant swipe. "It's done, Clara. The money is already in the account for the project. There's nothing you can do." She walked out, the click of her heels on the tile echoing like gunshots. We were left in the silence of the condo, the ghosts of our former life screaming in our ears. We were homeless. The next week was a blur of legal hell and profound despair. We moved into a soulless, beige-colored extended-stay hotel that smelled of stale cigarettes and bleach. Our life was packed into a dozen suitcases. The police were sympathetic but clear. It was a civil matter, a family dispute over a forged signature. We could sue her, but that would take months, maybe years. The new owners, who were also victims in this, had a legal deed. We were advised to start an eviction process against them, while we sued Eleanor. Daniel shut down. He spent days staring at the wall, the betrayal from his mother having broken something fundamental inside him. He couldn't eat. He couldn't sleep. The strong, capable man I loved had been hollowed out. But her theft had ignited something in me, a cold, focused fury. While Daniel grieved, I got to work. Grief was a luxury we couldn't afford. We were at war. I started in our hotel room, with my laptop. I became a digital bloodhound. I tracked down the real estate agent, a woman named Brenda who was now deeply uncomfortable. I met her for coffee and laid it all out. The con man, the forgery, the theft. I didn't plead. I presented facts. I saw the dawning horror in her eyes as she realized she'd been used to facilitate a crime. She was so convincing, Brenda whispered. The son on the phone, he sounded stressed, a little off, but he confirmed everything. That son was a leaner, doing an impression. I got Brenda to give me every piece of paperwork, every email. I tracked the wire transfer from the title company. It didn't go to a leaner's account. It went to an LLC called Aquapura Innovations at a bank in the Cayman Islands. Aquapura, the name Silas had mentioned. It was my first real thread. I pulled it. My background is in research and digital forensics. I know how to find things people want to hide. While Daniel slept fitfully in the next room, I fell down a digital rabbit hole. Aquapura Innovations was a ghost, a shell, but Silas had been careless. He used the same email address to register the LLC that he'd used to sign up for a premium golf forum. His username on the forum was Silas the Great. The ego was astounding. From there, I did a reverse image search on his profile picture, and I found him. His real name was Simon, Slippery Sea Tanner. His face stared back at me from a decade-old news article about a romance scam that had bankrupted a widow in Palm Springs. There was another from Phoenix, and another. He had arrests for fraud, forgery, and grand larceny in 3 states. Interpol had a notice out for him for a similar scheme he'd run in Spain. He wasn't a professor. He was a predator who specialized in lonely, wealthy, older women. I printed it all out. The mug shots, the articles, the Interpol notice. I made a binder. I walked into the hotel room and dropped it on the bed in front of Daniel. He looked at the cover, at Silas's, Simon's, smug face. He slowly picked it up and began to read. I watched as the grief on his face was slowly burned away by a pure, unadulterated rage. The shock of the criminal reality jolted him back to life. "That son of a bitch," he whispered, his hands shaking. Then he looked at me, his eyes clear for the first time in weeks. "What do we do now?" "Now," I said, "we stop being victims, we go hunting." We didn't go back to the local police. We went straight to the FBI, our binder of evidence in hand. The white-collar crime unit was very interested, but they moved slowly, bound by procedure and jurisdiction, especially with the suspects out of the country. We couldn't wait. Our money was being spent. Our future was evaporating on beaches in Costa Rica. So we set a trap. Using a burner phone and a VPN, I created a new identity, Cassandra Black, a representative for a fictional, eco-conscious venture capital firm. I emailed the address associated with Aquapura. "Dear Mr. Thorne, my principals came across your proposal for Aquapura. We are profoundly impressed by the humanitarian potential. We are seeking to allocate a significant portion of our portfolio to exactly this kind of groundbreaking, sustainable technology. We would be very interested in discussing a substantial investment." He bit. He replied within hours. For the next 3 weeks, I was Cassandra Black. I strung him along with the skill of a seasoned angler. I asked for detailed business plans he didn't have, for financial projections he made up on the spot. I praised his vision, flattered his ego. I learned he and Eleanor were living in a lavish villa, driving a rented luxury SUV, and burning through our money at an alarming rate. He was getting desperate for a new cash infusion. All the while, the FBI was monitoring our communication. They provided a fake bank account for the wire transfer. We set a meeting. Cassandra Black would be in Costa Rica and would transfer the funds, $500,000, upon signing the papers. The day of the meeting, Daniel and I sat in an FBI office, watching a live feed from a camera in the lobby of a 5-star hotel in San Jose. We saw Simon walk in, dressed in a white linen suit, looking every inch the successful entrepreneur. He ordered a coffee, his leg jiggling with nervous anticipation. We watched as 2 plainclothes officers and 2 Costa Rican federals approached his table. We saw the look of confusion, then dawning horror, then sheer panic on his face as they placed him in handcuffs. At the same moment, a separate team descended on the villa and arrested Eleanor. The poetic justice was a physical sensation, a wave of vindication so powerful it left us breathless. They were caught in the web of their own greed, arrested for the fraud we had laid bare. The aftermath was a long, complex legal journey. With the criminal case solid, the civil matters began to untangle. The sale of our house was voided due to the forgery. The title was restored to us. The new owners, once we explained the full, horrifying story, were merciful and agreed to leave. The day we got the keys back, we drove to Maple Creek Lane in silence. The oak trees were still there. The porch still sagged. Mrs. Gable came out and hugged us, tears in her eyes. Walking through that front door again was the most disorienting experience of my life. It was our home, but it was also the scene of the crime. The river stone fireplace, the porch swing, they were all there, but they felt different. The innocence was gone. We got almost all of our money back. The assets purchased with our stolen equity were seized. Eleanor, facing charges of conspiracy, wire fraud, and identity theft, tried to plead ignorance. She wrote us a long, rambling letter from jail, full of self-pity, blaming Silas for leading her astray, claiming she was a victim too. We did not reply. We changed the locks on the house, and we changed the locks on our lives. We hired a lawyer to formally sever the power of attorney and all financial ties. We blocked her number. Some betrayals are too deep to forgive. Some bridges, once burned, should be left as ashes. We still live in the house on Maple Creek Lane. The vegetable garden is more abundant than ever. The porch swing still creaks its familiar song, but we are different people now. Harder in some ways, more resilient in others. The trust fund we once dreamed of is now a fortress of legal documents, designed to be impervious to any future storm. We learned that family isn't just about blood, it's about who stands with you in the fire. We learned that the quiet, gentle love we built in this house is stronger than any spectacular act of betrayal. Eleanor and Silas are both serving prison sentences. We don't think about them often. Our story, the one we are still writing in this handmade heaven of ours, is no longer about them. It's about the future we fortified from the ruins they left behind. They tried to steal our hearth, but they only succeeded in teaching us how to build a stronger fire.